A wise person once said, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Is Hollywood running out of ideas and is creativity really dead?
And they should just redo everything better. Good luck.
Today, everyone, we are going to be talking about what is it with all these remakes? Recently, the media has been flooded with articles and trailers announcing new remakes of old films. And here is a list just to name a few. Willy Wonka, White Men Can't Jump, The Hunger Games, it's not necessarily a remake, but it's a sequel. Planet of the Apes, Mean Girls. Mean Girls is perfection. You can't remake it. No hate, no hate. But I'm just saying, why? And you may think, well, Hollywood, has it ran out of ideas? But is that really the case? It's not like remakes haven't been done before. Pride and Prejudice, before Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden. Before they did it, it was a TV adaptation featuring Colin Firth and Jennifer Eel. It, you know the clown, It, in 2017. Before that, it was a TV adaptation in the 90s. A Star is Born, before Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper did it. There was two films, one in 1954 and one in 1976. So there's so many remakes, surprisingly, and there's even more that people just love. Recently, it just feels like a desperate money grab. Well, here are my thoughts. Number one, I think because of the volume of remakes coming out recently, in the past, remakes were more of an occasional thing. Like, you wouldn't get 5 remakes in a year. They tend to be quite gradual, where now everything comes out at once and it's like, oh, here's a remake of that guy with a long nose. You know, we don't want a guy with a long nose, we've seen him. Past, it was more of like a re-adaptation of it, where now it just seems it's not got the passion it had. I think a great example is Greta Gerwig's adaptation of Little Women. It was an adaptation, but you can tell that it had a lot of heart to it, and it wasn't a direct replica of the other one. It had its own essence with still keeping in the lines of the story. Over the last couple of years, CGI and VFX have become a lot better, and I think it's easy for big production companies to say, oh, well, we'll just remake some of our successful films and make them better. With that said, if no one's asked for these remakes, then why do we remake old films and old movies anyway? Dr. Rosewarne Why does that sound like a Harry Potter character? Dr. Rosewarne explains that from Hollywood's very beginning, rather than an endless procession of wonderful new stories, studios were in fact producing adaptations of classic literature and stage plays, and with every event of new technology, it was remaking its old properties. So let's expect to keep on seeing new versions of Marvel comics on film, or classic stories for children animated and reanimated by Disney, because everything old can be new again. Take Disney, for example. In the last couple years, it has been making everything. We have Peter Pan and Wendy, The Little Mermaid, Snow White, Percy Jackson, The Lion King, Lady and the Tramp, Aladdin, Pinocchio, Mulan. That's a lot of remakes, and that's not even all of them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that these remakes are bad. Some of them have really great directors attached to them. But if you're like me, you probably didn't even realize that half of these were even out. And is that because the press is bad, or just because people just aren't asking for them? If you ever look at Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Disney has spent $294.7 million on the movie that only covered pre-production, filming, and 1 month of post. It got a $55.8 million reimbursement, bringing its net cost down to $238.9 million, meaning that it would need to gross $477.8 million for Disney to break even. So far, the movie has only made $357.9 million. Disney may end up making a loss on what seemed to be a 5-star hit. And that is a great point, because I know a lot of people were wanting Harrison Ford to do another Indiana Jones, but then when it came out, people realized, like, it's just not the same. Like I said in the beginning of this video, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Indiana Jones films had a great storyline, where in this film, I think they basically just tried to do that again, and with Harrison Ford being, he's not old, okay, he's not old, but he's not. Look, he's just Harrison Ford. And Indiana Jones isn't even the only movie that's lost Disney money. And it's said Disney has lost over $900 million on the last 8 studio releases, and most of them being remakes. So with that said, you would think Disney will just stop and listen. So what is all these articles claiming is wrong with Disney, and why is it failing? Well, according to most of them, it comes down to one thing. Wokeness. It comes down to being woke. Apparently they are trying to be too woke, and people don't like that. What is the definition of woke? Well, the definition of woke changes depending on who you talk to. According to Urban Dictionary, I know we're going with Urban Dictionary out of all dictionaries. Initially, the meaning of the term was when an individual became more aware of social injustice, or basically any current affairs related to, like, biased, discrimination, or double standards. In some situations, it feels forced. Like Little Mermaid. When Little Mermaid came out, so many people said, oh, it's just Disney trying to be woke. The amount of press that was just about that. Like, bro, no. It is amazing. The diversity in recent films and the movies is amazing. It's great. I love seeing it. It's literally what movies needed, okay? We needed some of this. Things get re-envisioned all the time, and people get cast that aren't the story description of the way they look. Elena in The Vampire Diaries, she, in the books, was blonde-haired and blue-eyed, but then in the series had brown hair and brown eyes. It all goes down to how well the character's being written. So why are people getting so fed up with the remakes? I think it's because of this nostalgia around the old films. I mean, Snow White was basically Disney's first ever film it released, and almost to do another film about it is kind of like a disservice to the original. I think it can be re-envisioned, but it doesn't need to be remade. The question of the comments today is, do you have a recent movie remake that you like? If so, comment them in the comments below and I will check them out. Discuss that in the comments. Okay, so why don't they just come up with original stories? It's easy. Why do they keep on remaking things? Just come up with a new story. Moon put this best in his video. Let's say you have a story about a rabbit who meets 2 guinea pigs, and they go on adventures in the wild, and they face drama, they face wild, they face predators, they face all sorts of problems. And then you have Peter Rabbit, an already successful series that has made money, and you know it has people who love it. Big production companies won't necessarily go for the original story of the rabbit, as there is no existing fans and no expectations for its existence. An original film is rarely made unless there is a significant belief in the quality of the story. Peter Rabbit, however, is already a safe bet, and large movie production companies don't have to worry about taking an investment risk. Who are fans of the series will want to see what the new adaptation is like, even if it is bad. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I thank you for 500 subscribers, by the way. That is kind of wild.